بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وآله وصحبه وأزواجه وذريته أجمعين. اللهم ربنا أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم أرنا حقائق الأشياء كما هي. ربنا زدنا علما وعملا وإخلاصا يا رب العالمين. اللهم انصر أولياءك في غزة وفي فلسطين كلها وفي كل مكان. اللهم انصرهم على عدوك وعدو منك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم فرج عنا وعن إخواننا في غزة وفي فلسطين وفي إيران وفي كل مكان يا رب العالمين. اللهم نفس كربنا وكربهم وثبت أقدامنا وأقدامهم والطف بنا وبهم يا أرحم الراحمين. وصل وسلم على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى وصحبه وأزواجه وذريته أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. So we are still looking at Hume's theory of the state. So Hume's theory of the state, we are starting from here today, the last paragraph on this page. Hume's theory of the state. Hume's theory of the state is, in the end, born of a deeply pluralistic outlook. What is that outlook, Prater? Hume was very much alive to the fact that human diversity of customs, laws, and political system. So Hume was very much alive to the fact of human diversity of customs, laws, and political system. Where is diversity? Diversity, okay. He was also very much aware of the context to which human society was marked by conflicts among contending interests. But the thing to note is that interests are mostly, the concept of interest is very modern, capitalistic, materialistic. So diversity has limits from the outset. And another, I think one of the shortcomings of this essay is that although it mentions society, it never actually tries to make the relationship between society and the state explicit or clear. So the human condition was always going to be one of interest conflict. Why? Why? And probably this ignores the fact that they're talking about a particular type of humans living in a particular condition. So diversity is just a talk at this point. Because if you have a society, if you have community, focus and family, there of course there are going to be conflict, but conflict is not going to be the main part of your existence. And this condition was capable of palliation, but resistance to cure. We'll say the other way around, So we will say this is a particular type of human society which has come into existence in modern times, which is based on the conflict of interest, and the interest is materialistic interest. At the end, it is maximization of profit or whatever you call it. All human institutions had to be understood as the outcome of conflict and effort at palliation. Looked from the seen from the perspective of 18th century British, Scottish, English perspective. All human institutions had to be understood as okay. If there are two general tendencies, we might observe humans say they are the tendency to authority and tendency to liberty. Both elements are there at the heart of human predicament. But it's not just, even if we understand, even if we accept that these are two tendencies, more important question is what is your conception of authority and liberty and how they are related to other aspects of human life. I mean, it is only in modern times that liberty and authority becomes the focus of political philosophy, the center, and civilization as such. Both elements are there at the heart of human predicament. Authority is needed to make society possible. But if a society based on family, and in family obviously you have authority and liberty, but presumably the heart of the family is love, not authority or liberty. And liberty to make and liberty to make it perfect. So this is a totally different conception of society where humans are seen as atoms, which are then come to which then come to, and it's very atomistic. Hume's whole empiricism and his epistemology is atomistic as well, as we know, and eventually derived from Locke, who is a key theorist of modern capitalism and liberalism. But there is no particular balance to be struck for every point on the scale to be but there is no particular balance to be struck for every point on the scale is a possible equilibrium point, each with its advantages and disadvantages. I don't know what does that mean. To understand the state is, I mean, I understand what it means, but I don't. It just seems to me a rhetoric at this point. To understand the state is to recognize that we are in this predicament and that there is no final solution. Of course, there are no final solution. We are living in this world, so how can there be a final solution? Final solution is death. But that doesn't mean that we have some sort of a balancing act between authority and freedom, and that's what consume every individual, every society, or every state. It's a particular type of state and society. Hume's theory of the state I have presented in some ways recall the theory offered by Michael Oxford. He's a conservative philosopher, Michael Oxford. He's the 20th century. Oh. Michael Oxford, he was born in 1901 and in 1990 he died. It's one of his famous disciples is John Gray, obviously. Which presents the modern European state as shifting uneasily between two competing tendencies. One tendency toward what he calls society as an enterprise association, that is capitalism. A conception of the role of the state as having purposive character, a purpose being to achieve some particular goal or goals, such as producing economic growth and the levels of happiness. The other tendency towards the idea of society as a civil association, a conception of the state as having no particular beyond making possible its member pursuit of their own separate. That's and they are not. So the second one is liberal, almost Rawlsian. And the first one is sort of utilitarian, but there's no. I mean, people think that there is some sort of a disjuncture between these two types of state, but they are actually quite compatible. And that compatibility can be understood if we problematize the relationship between freedom and capital, which we have done at several points on this channel, but we will uh, leave that issue to the side at this point. The state's historical character is of an institution that has oscillated between these two tendencies, never at any time being of either one kind or other. But this is a totally modern conception of state, nothing to do with history, really. Hume's theory of the state, I don't know whether he's describing Oxford's view correctly or not. I haven't read him recently. Um, Hume's, Hume's theory of the state shares with Oxford's account this unwillingness to set down in definitive or snapshot form a picture or description of something that embodies important contradiction. Even if it seems not particularly satisfying, I suspect it is about as satisfying a portrait of the state as we can hope to get. um, so this finishes here the article. I think this is a strange article because in the first he's trying to define the state, the second one the theory, and on the top of my head I don't see a real connection between the two parts. And the second part is just reiteration of or a summary of theory of the state by these different thinkers. Anyway, still I think it was useful to read this article. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك وصلى وسلم على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وأزواجه وذريته أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.